Hey guys, today we're going to go ahead and learn about graphing systems of linear inequalities. Last time we talked about graphing only one inequality. Now we're going to have two inequalities on the same graph. So if you notice, I have one in slope-intercept form and the other one in standard form. So I'm going to do the slope-intercept form first. That one's easy. And if you remember, the number that's by itself, that's my y-intercept. So it's at -1. And remember, we always start on the y-axis. So -1 is right here. Okay, remember that's a point. Okay, so that is 0, -1. Okay, now this is my slope. My slope is 2/3. And remember, this is my starting point. So we're going to rise over the run. We're going to rise in the morning. 1, 2, and then we're going to run to the right. 1, 2, 3. And we have our second point. So you rise, remember I counted the middle part, 1, 2, and then 3 to the right. And then, now if you notice, this is where students get confused. Is it a solid line or is it broken? Well, if you notice, it doesn't have an equal sign under it, so it's going to be broken. And remember, we said broken, the points on this line are not included. Okay? That means all of these points on this line cannot make the inequality true. That's why it's broken. Alright? Now the last thing we have to do is shade. So am I going to shade the top or the bottom? So remember, we cover up the x. So what number is greater than -1? Well, here's -1. What numbers are greater than -1? 0, 1, 2, 3. So it's this part up here, top part. Okay? So that's pretty easy. Now we go ahead and do our second inequality right here. But this one's in standard form, so I have to change it into slope-intercept form. Remember, we're going to take this guy, the x, and we're going to take him to the other side. And remember, anytime you jump the equal sign or the inequality, you're going to make it, it becomes the opposite sign. So from -2x becomes a positive 2x. Okay, so let me go ahead and rewrite it over here. So I will have -y greater than -2 plus 2x. Okay, and you know what? I'm going to put it equal. I'm going to put a little line under it just to let you know it's equal, okay? Now, the next thing we have to do, remember, we have to have the y by itself. The negative, I have to get rid of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide everything by -1. Okay? Negative divided by negative is a positive. And remember, anytime we divide by a negative, we have to reverse the inequality. So this guy switches. It went from greater than, it went to less than. And if you forget the names, just think about this one as it looks like a little lopsided L for less than. Negative and negative becomes a +2. And then +2 divided by -1 becomes a -2x. Okay, so now we have our line in slope-intercept form, and I can go ahead and graph it. So my starting point, or my y-intercept, is +2. So that guy's going to be over here. Okay. And then my slope, and let me put n for slope, is -2 over 1. And remember, you have to use whatever number is in front, whatever sign, I'm sorry, is in front of that number, you have to use it. So it's -2, so we're going to put -2 over 1. So we rise early in the morning. Because it's a negative, we're going to go down. 1, 2, and then we're going to go to the right. Right here. Okay? Now, this one, because it has a little line, the little equal sign on the bottom, that means it's going to be a solid line. So it's going to look like that. Okay. Now, the last thing I have to do is I have to shade. Okay. Same thing. Let's go ahead and cover up our 2x, our -2x. And you think, okay, what number or what numbers are less than or equal to 2? Well, it would be 1, 0, -1, and the negative. So all the ones down here. So it ends up being these. this section here. And what we're interested in is the part that overlaps. And if you notice, the part that's going to overlap is this section over here. Okay, all of this section here. Okay, and what this means is any point in this section is going to be a solution for both inequalities. Okay, and that's what they want. Any point, when you plug them in here, it's going to be a solution for both inequalities. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and do one more, and just to get you guys some good practice. Alright guys, let's go ahead and do one more. And this one I went ahead and made it in standard form, and then we'll go ahead and talk about this one in a second. But we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go ahead and take my 2x, take this guy over here. Positive 2x becomes a negative 2x. Remember, there's a negative in front of the 4, so I have to use it. Okay, a lot of students just put 4y. No, remember there's a minus in front. Okay, 8 minus 2x. That's nice. The next thing we do, we have to divide by that negative 4 because we want to change it into slope-intercept form. Negative 4 divided by negative 4 is positive 1. Remember, we're dividing by a negative, so we have to reverse the inequality. 8 divided by negative 4 is negative 2. Negative and negative is a positive. And then 2 over 4, I'm going to reduce that to 1/2. Okay, you have to make sure you know how to reduce. I mean, you can leave it as 2/4, but you're always going to see it in reduced or simplified fashion. So make sure you know how to do it. 2/4 becomes 1/2. Alright, let's go ahead and graph it. Negative 2 is my starting point, which would be right here. Alright, my slope is 1 over 2, positive. So I rise and I will go running 1, 2, right there. Alright, I notice it has a little equal sign under, so I know it's going to be a solid line. Very good. And then I have to go ahead and shade it. So I cover up my x. So what numbers are greater than negative 2? Well, negative 2 would be negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, the positive, so it's going to be over here. Alright, so that one was easy. Now, the next one I went ahead and put this one because a lot of students get confused. X is less than 3. Okay, now remember, this has no slope. All it tells me it has a 3. So remember, we have our x-axis, we have our y-axis, and what this is telling me, okay, x, you can say if x equals 3, it would be here. But it's not x equals 3. It's x less than 3. Okay, so what this means, it's going to be a vertical line. Okay, go ahead and do it in black. This is a vertical line that is broken because it doesn't have the equal sign in the bottom. Okay, and I have to ask myself, what numbers are less than 3? Well, numbers are less than 3, well, that'll be 2, 1, 0, and then the negatives. So this vertical line has solutions that are to the left. So all of this part. And what we're interested, remember, is the parts that overlap. So I could shade this part, but I'm only interested in this part here. Okay, so this section here, any point on this section is going to make these two inequalities true. Okay, so remember, change it from standard form to slope-intercept form. It has a little equal sign on the bottom. It's a solid line. For these, it's just going to be either, it's one point, but it's going to be a line either broken or solid. Okay, if it was, let's say, I don't know, y is greater than negative 2. Well, then we would go on our y, and then we would find negative 2 right here, and it would be a horizontal line. Okay, horizontal line. Alright guys, hopefully that helps. Send me an email if you have any questions.